My name is Eric McLeod.
And I'm Chris Holden.
And you are listening to LowBlowRadio podcast, the blow-by-blow of AEW Dynamite. It is Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. Chris, this was the show right after All Out that happened on the weekend. This was our comeback show here. And, what did you think of the night all around?
The start of a new season. And I really liked it. I thought it was a good show, a great way to come back from All Out. It wasn't necessarily a Raw after Mania feel to the show, but it was a solid Dynamite, which is what I think I was looking for. I don't think I expected to see a Raw after Mania, but I definitely wanted something that was better than the last few weeks had been, in my opinion. But this, to me, a totally different breed of show. This wasn't selling anything. This is now the start of new builds. So, yeah, loved it.
No, for sure. I think a lot of things we're moving forward here, and let's just hop right into the blow-by-blow here. We kicked off the night with the Jurassic Express and Lucha Brothers already in the ring, ready to have their matchup here. Some pretty top contenders here in the tag team divisions, ready to have a hot tag team opener for the episode of Dynamite here, and that's definitely what we got. Phoenix and Jungle Boy kicking off, trading off arm drags, headlocks, that kind of stuff. Big heavy slaps from Phoenix back and forth to each other. Pentagon getting in, hitting that big drop kick, taking out Jungle Boy and knocking Luchasaurus off of the apron. I'm trying to run through, the proper blow by here, but it's tough with these.
That's the problem with the hot, quick opening tag matches. The action's so fast and frantic. Try to keep pace with writing notes down while you're watching the screen. Good luck.
Exactly. The second you write something down, something crazy's happening on the screen, right? So I think as soon as I was writing down, that they were hitting the drop kick and starting to lay it into Jungle Boy there, Luchasaurus hit a big headbutt and starts knocking them outside of the ring. And like what you would expect from these guys, a real fast-paced back and forth. No one really getting the advantage early on. The Pentagon and Phoenix kind of having to regroup on the outside. They, and they were just having trouble dealing with this strong offense from the Lucha Brother or from Jurassic Express. They hit the assisted flatliner in the ring from Jungle Boy. That was really good. And then as they started to kind of regroup, we got Pentagon getting in there, getting in the face of Luchasaurus, trying to do his Zero Miedo gimmick, and Luchasaurus having absolutely nothing of it. They start chopping and headbutting each other back and forth. A real strong showing from both guys there. So yes, the headbutts and everything. Jungle Boy got back in with the that double arm drag, took the guys to the outside with the reversal. Man, oh man. I'm having trouble with my own notes here on the blow-by-blow. We were doing something a little different tonight that I was sort of we were taking turns on the matches here, and I'm learning that I maybe need to write my notes a little clearer. But anyway, it was a lot of just heavy back and forth and some big, strong spots from everybody. I don't think I could really capture every single one here, so I'll try to bring everything back. The Jurassic Express seemed to be gaining the advantage. Jungle Boy was able to get away from the clothesline attacks, get over Pentagon's back, tag in Luchasaurus. He did his typical kick game, taking out Phoenix and Pentagon, knocking them to the outside. He hit that fantastic choke slam to Phoenix from the top rope into the ring, as well as the fall away slam,
which is becoming a trademark of his now.
Yes, absolutely. And then that lovely spin kick that he hit. Unfortunately, it was in the picture-in-picture. You had to kind of see it when they were showing the highlight. But he hit Phoenix with that fantastic one there. The momentum started to shift back to the Lucha Brothers a little bit. Really enjoyed that combination gory driver into the leg drop that he hit on both. I think it was Jungle Boy he had wrapped up in the gory special. And then as he dropped it, he hit the leg drop on Luchasaurus. So that was a really sort of slick maneuvers, and that's what you kind of expect from Phoenix at this point for sure. Okay, yes, they hit the package pile driver. Looked like the finish was just about coming. They had taken Luchasaurus out of the ring. Had certainly gained the advantage. Cornered Jungle Boy into the corner. Hit the package pile driver. Looked like things were going to win here. And Jungle Boy just able to kick out, showing once again that it takes even more than a typical finish here to put this young, strong talent away.
Or 4 finishers.
Yes, it takes a little bit more than that. You see an Eddie Kingston riled up there on the outside as the Lucha Brothers try to rile things together. They set him up for Pentagon to hit the Canadian Destroyer. Jungle Boy is able to reverse it just at the
most
last
basic move in professional wrestling.
Absolutely, right? I mean, right after it's arm drag, headlock, Canadian Destroyer. That's what we've learned. So, but it's also the easiest one to turn around here, as he was able to reverse himself and put Phoenix in the position. Phoenix ends up eating the Canadian Destroyer and then getting caught in the roll-up from Jungle Boy. Jurassic Express walking away with a big win here over the Lucha Bros, and it seemed to cause some inner turmoil between these two. So, after my blow-by-blow, Chris, tell me what you thought of this match.
I took the storyline as Jurassic Express are being overlooked by their veteran, more experienced, more world-traveled and well-known opposition. So it's the Lucha Brothers this week taking the role of, we'll beat these stupid kids, only to find out that they pack a lot more punch than they look like they would. They're not just the comedy gimmick that they are dismissed as later in the show. They're very good workers, and they're getting better every week. It was really good match to watch. This tag division, there's not enough you can say about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, uncomparable. I mean, they're doing great things other places. Like, I wish I was paying more attention to the things at Impact. They have fantastic teams over there, but no, they just are hitting it always out of the park here with their tag division in different aspects. After the matchup, we get a bit of inner turmoil between Phoenix and Pentagon, obviously disagreeing with each other. Butcher and the Blade were on the outside along with Eddie Kingston. They all kind of gather in the ring as Eddie grabs the mic and is trying to sort of rally the troops here, telling that saying to Pentagon and Phoenix, "Hey, where's your British friend? He doesn't care about you."
Pac's not here.
I'm here. Not here.
Yeah, reference for Pac. I like that because that gives Pac something to do when he gets back now, right?
Yeah, for sure. And calling out little things too, like, hey, like looking at Blade and saying, "Hey, well, where's your wife?" Like, because Allie's basically the Bunny's kind of abandoned that team and everything, and it never was really discussed. So I like those little drops from Kingston. He was well versed on the mic here to get things kind of hyped up, get them to shake hands. It looks like they're not going to at first, but eventually they do get on the same page. But yes, some obvious sort of tension in Death Pentagon, I believe is what they're called.
Okay, right on. Good name. No, it was the handshake promo was good. That was Kingston's best work on the mic in several weeks. All they need is that you get direction that's a little more than get out there, champ, and sell this match. And this was, granted, maybe a little bit too strong on the handshake, but it got across the point that he is the leader of this little gang that's having some friction, but he wants to pull them together. I'm going to believe he does a better job more quickly than what's her name, Vega over on Raw does with her voice.
Let's hope so. Or he's got something planned with his winks that he keeps dropping, right? I mean, there's obviously some, furthering storyline there. The only thing I don't kind of get with that, like I get where it's sort of like maybe us as the audience are seeing this thing from Kingston, but are you telling me that Butcher and Blade or the Luchas don't watch the show back? They don't watch their matches? No one tweets anything at them?
When their promo's over, they leave the room. That's why Eddie knows now is the time to...
But no one's ever shown it to them? Like, hey, no. Eddie's winking behind your back, by the way.
No, they don't know.
No, well, fair enough. My bad. Anyways, moving on with the night, we had a promo from Jake and Lance out. Well, I guess, my opinions on that match are basically the same as yours. I definitely agree that, it was the typical, the dealing with the veterans kind of thing as well, the unexpected win from Jurassic Express and showing that they're growing here in AEW. So excited to see what happens on both ends of the spectrum there. But yes, moving on, we had Jake and Lance Archer hanging out in the rain, cutting a promo on Jon Moxley.
Yeah, not bad, not great.
Yeah.
I kind of looking at it now as why does Lance need a mouthpiece? He's perfectly fine. Yeah. He's able to cut a promo. He sounds dangerous to me. I got Jake as the evil villain in the very beginning with him and why they teamed him up. But as of right now, I'm not needing it. So I'm not feeling the same.
No, I kind of agree that the Jake thing was nice when you maybe didn't know Lance, so it's nice to have a familiar face and someone to kind of speak for him. But he's been around long enough now that he can kind of speak for himself, or he's slowly getting to that place. So I would agree that the Jake thing, unless it has a point now, he's not controlling the monster. He's they're kind of working together. It's I don't know. It isn't quite doing it for me either. But we'll see what happens. Still excited to see what happens when Lance Archer takes on Jon Moxley. As we heard about later in the night, will be on the anniversary edition of Dynamite. So a bit of it seems like a step down for a big title match, but they've been known to do big title matches on Dynamite before. So who knows what could actually happen? But sometimes it takes that predictability out, because I kind of doubt they would do a big title change on TV. But I mean, an anniversary edition, maybe so the speculation could still be there.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do. I mean, I think that because of it being the anniversary show, I could believe that they could do a title change. And I think just, again, the youth of AEW, the youth of Dynamite in general, I'm not so conditioned as I am with Raw, and I would have been with Nitro, to not expect the title change on television. Having said that, it's happened on their shows, so...
Yeah, you never know, and I'll be excited for that match either way. So moving on, we had Matt Hardy getting down to the ring, looking like he has recovered from his poor incident at All Out. And what did you make of this promo?
He came out looking like he was out of character. He's dressed in a T-shirt, but he's not really playing any gimmick per se as he came into the ring. It was a public apology to Reeve, wasn't it? Please, you've beat my ass for 2 solid days. I said I'm sorry. I won't do it again. And at the end of the promo, he looks at her, smiles like, was it okay, baby? And the camera cuts to Reeve, and she smiled, and all right, Matt, you're okay now. So, I thought it was going to be the big retirement announcement, but I guess instead it's just I'll be off until I'm totally better, which is totally fine. That's exactly what he should do at the very least, right? So,
yeah, for sure. I think maybe it was, we're so used to things like leading to an angle, leading to something here in AEW that, again, we were sort of expecting either the announcement to be something specific or to be leading to the next feud, or reignite things with Sammy, or whatever it was going to be, or bring back the brokenness, or yada, 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 some sort of furthering the story, because that's usually how things are in AEW. If it's not a furthering story moment, it's usually saved for their other stuff, like, oh, this happened on Dark, or this was on our social media. And this in the afterwards kind of felt like it could have just been that. You could have just had a video of him at home saying this exact same promo. But I also get from their perspective to give him the in-ring time that he missed out on at the pay-per-view, to be able to apologize and appeal to the crowd that he didn't get to appeal to before. So I get it on both ends for sure. But
I think it's a bit of that from the why he wouldn't do it at home. I also think it's a lot of Matt Hardy's true feelings and his true respect for the fans and the audience. He's going to cut a promo like that, and he's able to be at the arena and do it. He's going to feel like he should be at the arena to do it. And that's, good for him. I'm not going to say that that's the right thing to do. If you feel that way and that on it, whatever, then I got a lot of respect for Matt. And I think that was a respectful thing.
Yeah, and I think being there live showed that he's not, in the hospital. He's not, filming something at home where you could be hiding other injuries or whatever. He came out, looked fine. He walked to the ring on his own. He left on his own. He seemed fully in all his senses and all that kind of stuff. So again, they saved face, I think, in a way too with this segment. So
that's true. I didn't really look at it from that angle, but you're right because there was so much outcry and outrage. So
yeah. So I mean, there's certainly, I'm gonna say it wasn't the pronounced part of it, but you could certainly think that there's an aspect to, even if the fact that it wasn't an angle, we put Matt on TV, let everyone know Matt's fine, everything's okay. We can move on, and yes, so that's all we got from Matt Hardy here. But yes, we wish him all the best and a speedy recovery back to the ring, and maybe something fun and new from him. He's saying he's ready for a title run. I think a TNT title feud with him and Brody, I would love. I think they could do some really fun, interesting stuff. I don't necessarily see him and Moxley right now, but it depends on the character. If he comes back,
unless he wants another concussion.
Well, that too. You can pretty much guarantee that with Moxley, and you might with Brody too. He hits pretty damn hard.
Yeah, it depends how hard he wants to sell that discus finish, right? But
That's right. Yeah.
I agree. I wouldn't mind seeing him go up against Brody Lee for the TNT title when he gets back, or whoever. I mean, I let him have a little title run, even if it's just for a challenging thing on his way out at the end. That's
sure,
fine.
yeah.
It's a great close to Matt Hardy's career. I don't think he wants to go out like this and with that as a last match image either. So.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure.
Absolutely. We rolled on from this, didn't we? We go to there was the next match now, right?
Yes.
Cassidy?
Yes.
Mr. Orange Cassidy, the new main event star of AEW, comes out to take on Angelico, who I'm not familiar with because I don't watch Dark. I guess maybe he's been on Dynamite once or twice as with the tag team partner. They said he was in THR or TH squared.
TH2. Him and Jack Evans are tag partners. And they were one of the very, very early first announced tag teams in AEW. They unfortunately weren't around for the first quarter or so of quarantine times. They're back now, more so debuting or returning on Dark more so than the television show. But yeah, if you're not familiar with him, he has appeared more on Dark lately, especially him and Jack Evans. And then other people are more familiar with him from like I know him from why can't I think of it? Lucha Underground and stuff like that, and AAA and things.
Well, he was chosen tonight to be the job man for Orange, so he came out, did a pretty good job of it. We start off with Armringer City and some spins around. Orange shakes it off, calls him in for a test of strength. And Angelico ends up with a submission lock on him, which is an odd-looking, kind of octopusy-like grasp, abdominal stretch move on the ground from his back. Hits a knee lift. It's a nice ringer into a takedown. Drops him down into an STF up against the ropes, which was also unique looking. Don't see the STF all the time. Cassidy got to the ropes. Whips him into the corner. Gets an ugly miss as he's going for something in there. I think he was supposed to not hit the spot, but the way he missed it didn't look nice as he was holding his leg on the outside. Angelico, that is.
Right.
Orange with a nice suicida through the ropes. Hits a crossbody block off the top rope, gets his swinging DDT, and lands the Orange Punch for a 3 count. A much easier night for Orange Cassidy than it was on Saturday against Jericho, but I think we all could have anticipated that.
Yeah.
What do you think of the match?
Not too bad. I think they kind of, like you had said, it's this like new main event Cassidy. He obviously didn't come out with a whole bunch of fire in him, but he definitely has this more, enhanced side to him now since the Jericho fights and stuff like that. I like that he didn't, come out of the gate right away. He still, was taking his time with some of this stuff. I'm trying to remember what the spot was that they opened with that I really enjoyed, where they just kind of kept repeating it over and over again. When he was spinning out. Yeah, when he was
spin out of the wrist lock. Yeah, the dancing.
When he just was just so lackadaisical with it, like just over and over. And then, just about to put his hands in his pockets and he catches them for the hand lock up. I like those little moments. I wish that hopefully they can incorporate more of his sloth style back into Orange Cassidy here, because as much as I enjoy the comeback speed and all that kind of stuff, it's just comparable to everybody else. What made Orange is the sloth style, right? So I think they need to incorporate more of that back into the character, and then maybe it'll start working again for me the way it did before. I still enjoy the character, but I was more into sloth Cassidy than
I get what you're saying. I totally I think they will. Like, I think that it'll be a bit faster of a transmission or transgression back into just the sloth style guy than we saw the move into him becoming more than that. But this stuff will always be in the background. It's a layered character now, right? Which I think was part of the idea of it. So
yeah, for sure. And if it's an opportunity to then further their other friends' feuds kind of thing, but not have to just have another best friends proud and powerful matchup, then you got to have them interfere afterwards and keep those kind of feuds going, as well as just focusing Orange in a different sense. So I kind of liked that. And mentioning that's what we got after the match was the post beatdown from Proud and Powerful, coming in with the nightstick and the mad ball to take out Orange Cassidy, which then summoned the best friends to scatter them out of the ring. The Proud and Powerful go running scared and are taunting them from the outside, but the best friends are playing serious now.
No more hugs, no more games. It's a parking lot brawl challenge for next Wednesday, and I assume that Santana Ortiz took the bet because we've got the match slated for next week now. I love the T-shirt of the two best friends in the back of the minivan and Sue driving it in the front. Night, remember the good old days before the van was smashed.
Yes.
That's a great shirt. I'd like to get that.
Oh yeah, that's what I've been looking at that one myself too. I think Chuck and Trent come out with some fantastic stuff there, and the crowd was great for this one too, chanting Sue afterwards after they had cut their promo. Yeah, I like the serious side to the best friends as well. No hugs. We're just looking to hurt you, and I'm gonna make my mom proud. We're not even looking for an apology anymore and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So no,
I love that finishing touch of "make my mom proud" at the end.
Yeah,
that was beautiful.
And I mean, refresh my memory a little bit and see if you remember this. Going way back, I think even just before, teetering on before the COVID lockdowns, I think right as they were switching to QT Marshall's like lockdown space where they were in that facility before they came back to Daly's place, and when they were still planning to do Blood and Guts before they had an official announcement and placement, was there not a matchup between Proud and Powerful and the Best Friends sort of planned for a street fight or a parking lot brawl? I could have sworn they had challenged them like in that time, and then due to all the COVID stuff, a mix-up happened where it had got stopped, obviously, and then moved further on. But I'm trying to remember the placement of it. I do remember there being a kind of build to something that eventually just got flattened because of the switch in locations. No,
I don't. I honestly can't remember that because I thought Proud and Powerful were always going to be in the Blood and Guts match as part of the Inner Circle.
Yeah, no, I know. Like that's what I mean. I
can't remember.
I remember it being around that time, but I remember.
That's 5 years ago now. You're talking.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, it's hard to remember what happened 6 months ago sometimes with all the shit that's gone on here. So, I'd have to go back and maybe find the episode or something. I swear I kind of remember that, but maybe I'm just putting it into my head there. But anyway, if that is the case, it's nice to see that they're maybe finally fulfilling something that they had planned, and maybe that means they're going to maybe try to do Blood and Guts down the road. I mean, it doesn't seem like it could happen the way they wanted to, but maybe they can bring it back in a different way later on.
I don't know, after the way the Sammy and Matt thing went, maybe they should take a second look at it. If Mother Nature says we didn't get to do a feud, maybe we stay away from that feud. There was a reason. It was preordained we don't do it. It becomes,
you don't want Khabib and Tony, right? Like, nothing needs to be cursed here in AEW. So moving on, we had our,
Alex Marvez.
Alex Marvez announcing that he was looking to have an interview with the Young Bucks. He was in the back knocking on their door, trying to get them to come out for an interview, getting no answer at first. Eventually the door opened, but it opened with 2 kicks coming out the door.
Party!
Yes.
And suddenly Alex wishing maybe he hadn't been looking for the Young Bucks or had taken the unopened door as a sign to just walk the fuck away, as opposed to telling Tony, "I'm sorry, Tony, I can't get the Bucks here. I don't even know why you sent the cameras back to me." Back to you.
No, and we learned later on in the night that the Bucks are going to be charged $5,000 for this infraction on one of the commentator crew who don't need to be, wrestled with or interfered with in this sense. So, no, you're definitely seeing a different side of the Young Bucks. They're frustrated, they're upset, and they do not want to be talked to right now.
Not by Alex.
Not by Alex, and I guess they didn't get tried to be talked to by JR or Tony as we got in other interview segments as the night went on. I guess the Young Bucks were just, unreachable on this evening. But moving on segment-wise, we had them announcing that Kip Sabian, once again, was coming to the ring with his fiancée, Penelope Ford, to announce who his best man was going to be. Their wedding is coming up. He's got a bachelor party planned or going to be planned soon. And, hey, we need a best man for that. And we were going to find out tonight just who that best man was going to be. He, of course,
already knew.
Well...
It was great. I mean, I loved this segment. I thought they played it really well. And the fact that we both nailed it earlier on with who we guessed it right on the money. It was a really well done spot.
Yeah.
And enjoyed this a lot. The first guy coming out. Oh, first of all, kicking Tony out of the ring. Get out of here, Timmy. If I wanted a member of the in-house team, I'd have asked for JR.
Someone knows how to party. Or have a good time, yeah.
And it was a big Twitch fest ad there. Keep mentioning that over and over again. First, he says, "Here comes my best man," and we get Puff, who comes on the stage. He says, "You said I was the best man." He said, "No, I said you were the best. I just meant that. Get out of here. You're just a big
You're the best at subscribing. Get out of here. You're wasting space. But make sure you subscribe
next month."
So he must be one of his top Twitchers or something like that. I'm unfamiliar with Puff, but it was a funny appearance there. And then he says, yes, no, enough tomfoolery. My best friend is coming out. He points down the aisleway, and out
he's
from the other aisle is
he's handsome.
handsome.
He stressed how handsome he was this time.
Right. But this time it's a different kind of handsome man. It is the mullet-clad Brian Pillman Jr. strutting his way down the aisle and into the ring. God, I love the charisma of this kid. It's fantastic. I can't wait to see more from Pillman down the road. But yeah, he cuts a little promo saying, hey, you sent me that text today. You said I was the best. I'm your best man, right? You said, you're the best, man. You come on down. He's like, no, man, I sent you a text. I said, you're the best. Comma. Man.
Because it's
the best, man. We're not even friends. It's your birthday.
On his birthday?
Yeah.
That's just fucking mean.
Heartbroken, poor Brian Pillman fucking walks away, gets all tensed up when he says that his birthday sucked. Very, very upset. But no, all right, enough jokes aside. Kip Sabian is ready to introduce us to the best man. And Chris, who is the best man?
The best man? It always had to be Miro, the beast from Bulgaria. Excalibur wasn't afraid to say it.
Yep.
Fantastic introduction. He came out, looks like $1 million with his blonde hair and big muscles, and he's getting them to go Miro, Miro, Miro. I thought he was going for Rusev Day or Miro Day at first.
They were chanting Miro Day. You could hear them.
There was a bit of that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he mentions that for 10 years he's been hammering up against the glass ceiling, going for that imaginary brass ring we've heard so much about before. Only I haven't heard anyone to tell Vince to shove the brass ring up their ass before. So that was a new wrinkle to the speech.
Yes.
Mentions that Elite recognizes Elite, and Miro is all Elite.
Yes. He got the banner on their Twitter afterwards, the official Miro is all Elite. And this is more than some of the other guys we've got that have premiered here lately. Like Matt Cardona doesn't have an official is Elite banner yet. So yes, they're definitely going all in on Miro here, bringing him in as the best man. He getting along with Kip Sabian there, saying that they're ready to be friends and move on here. But yes, solid promo from him. You could tell he was just happy to have a free mic and like talk freely. He stumbled a little, but it was fine. Like I don't mind this stuff because it's just so naturally coming off them. They just were like, a couple of pointers, get out there and do your best. And a couple of flubs, but he was just so amped up and energetic and, excited to see what happens next. I think it's fine to not be shotgunning him right into a feud right away. Like sometimes that we've talked in the past, that feels like it's, sped guys up to cool them off. And then you sort of have to have them find their place. That's happened to Cage. It happened a bit to Lance Archer. It happened to Brody before he was able to get the title. So I think moving him into this place then allows them to reestablish the character, let everyone know it's not just, this Russian or Bulgarian foreigner or whatever character that he was that people are more familiar with in WWE when he was Rusev, that they can, rebrand him now as whatever he wants to be as Miro. And then once the character is kind of developed and over, then they can start, whatever feuds he's going to be getting into and down the road. And I'm excited for a lot of matchups. I think a big guy like that brought in here, geez, can't wait for Cage, Archer, like all those guys you already mentioned. Even getting up to Moxley would be amazing, or Brody, and Cody, and
he's a great worker. I love his matches against John Cena were great because he's a really good worker. It wasn't Cena. Cena's not awful, as bad as people say.
Yeah,
but he had good matches with John, and it was as much him as it was John. So I'm looking forward to him taking on practically anybody on this roster. He's an excellent fit, excellent pickup, great promo, so charismatic. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think the first thing is going to be him stealing Penelope, and you would get him versus Kip.
Ooh.
But maybe that's just me. Moving on, we got the first sit-down interview of the night, and it was great. This was Tony Schiavone sitting down with Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah.
And I guess my takeaway versus a blow-by-blow of the conversation was that Adam seems to believe that Kenny and he are still a team. They're just going through a rough patch. What did you think?
Yeah, no, that's definitely the perspective you get here. And then I don't know if we should maybe just do these two back to back, because it's kind of hard to talk about one without the other once you've heard Kenny's. But I mean, because in this promo, you're not sure what Kenny has to say, but you're getting Hangman's perspective. He's admitting to his faults in what he had done to the Young Bucks, into believing in the FTR, into kind of messing up the relationship between him and Kenny. Believes that he's kind of full of poison at this point and that kind of stuff, and whether that's saying it's the booze or whatever it is that is causing his mind to cloud here. But he's holding out hope, it seems. That's all this kind of interview was just him sort of holding out hope that things were still okay, that things weren't as rock bottom as it really seems to the rest of the world, that to him, him and Kenny had a lot of wins. They should get a rematch for being such dominant champions, and he's ready to get right back on the horse and keep riding. And as we learn later on, it's a totally different perspective from his partner. So
I'll be honest, though, I felt like we didn't need getting the Kenny confirmation of where his head lies later was kind of like that. It was a nice touch, or it kind of develops Kenny's side a bit more. But I feel like we're sitting watching Adam, knowing full well, because we saw on Saturday night, like he nearly smashed your head in with a chair or with the table. Like, he let you fall to the ground. No, buddy, this partnership is over. You don't have a tag partner anymore.
Yeah.
Like, are you delusional? And I felt like that's what we're supposed to be taking away from Adam right now, is like the pathos and the he had when he was, give us back our belts, and Kenny didn't want to take his from him when he did get him back, has now evolved to this level of like just sinking desperation that what you haven't called the guy? Call him. He'll tell you to fuck off. You'll know you're not partners anymore. You haven't even spoken to the guy since Saturday. You're a joke right now sitting here. So I'm looking forward to the next level of development for it. But I feel that this is Hangman at like the lowest ebb right now before accepting. Like, you're right. He talked about the poison, but I still take that, like you say, in a column A, column B thing. I don't think he means alcoholism. I think he's talking about a darkness or a problem.
Right.
He doesn't still recognizes that is the problem. And I think that's where we'll keep developing this, is that until he comes to a full, absolution or admittance in it, we'll keep seeing the guys turning on him and not really accepting anything that he's saying as an apology.
Right. No, I can kind of see it from that way. I think I struggle a lot with coming up with where this is going, and I think that's what gets me more excited about it. And like, sure, I almost don't think about it enough to try to predict it, because it is so unpredictable. They tend not that they're swerving you all the time that you don't know where it's going. It's the fact that I don't know where they're going with this story, and that it makes it interesting, because they obviously know that it needs to have a payoff, and they're continuing it, and it's not just an ABC storyline here, that there's more depth and character that's being built here. So no, I think that it's not necessarily cut and dry, and that we'll have to wait and see what these layers unfold for Hangman later on down the road. So it's rich storytelling as opposed to this as opposed to the swervy nature that you've mentioned that they're not doing. So I can foresee us getting to a spot where we have Hangman Page coming down to the ring while Kenny's in the ring getting ready for something, and he says, "What about we're going to do a tag match? I thought I signed us up for one," and Kenny giving him the brush off. Yeah. And that's when it kind of hits Adam. It's a great way to build to the singles feud and singles matches without just your stereotypical, we had an argument backstage, now I attack you, you attack me, but So, nope, for sure. Yeah, I think we'll just have to wait and see what happens here. So moving on in the night, we can't just lay it all out here for Kenny or Hangman in their interview. We had actual matches to talk about. So Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela took on Chris Jericho and Jake Hager here in the middle spot. This was a no DQ match. I was surprised it wasn't just a tornado tag match then, the fact that they were still doing tags, but it was no DQ. Sometimes feels odd, but hey.
Well, it is. It's ridiculous.
I feel like that's a much bigger conversation when we need to sit down and talk about the rules of wrestling and how odd these things can get. Things like this where it gets confusing. Usually if it's a no DQ match, it should just mean no DQ, so no rule about tags, right? So it is what it is. They used it to their advantage to sort of tell the story in this match, which made sense. You weren't just going to get the sort of typical stuff out of them. Or like a normal match, having the hardware and the extra stuff helped, especially Janela and them do some more fun spots and not just have your typical matchup here. So we opened up with a bit of a hockey fight from Jericho and Janela as they are sort of continuing their feud from last week when Jericho really laid the beats in on Joey. He's clearly still upset about getting all bloodied up and everything else. So he was doing his best to bring it to Jericho here, kind of weathering the early offense of Jericho, outsmarting him a little bit, getting some offense in, as well as with Sonny Kiss, able to, get Jericho and Hager sort of off of their game a little bit. Sonny hit that really fantastic drop kick to take Jericho out, knocks Jake off the apron. But then as they were sort of worrying about Jake on the outside, Jericho was able to kind of use the distraction and move things more into his advantage in the ring there against Sonny Kiss. But then they kind of sprung back a little bit. They hit the stereo drop kicks on both Jericho and Hager, taking them both to the outside. Hitting him with it with Sonny Kiss, I think. Yeah, he hit Hager with a really nice penalty kick and then a diving the suicide dive from Janela to take everybody out. And then this was the first edition of the Hard, where Janela gets under the ring and pulls a chair out and starts laying into Chris Jericho, gets it into the ring and tries to do a dive spot onto Jericho. Kind of doesn't go too well. Jericho's able to reverse it. I think it was supposed to be onto the chair, but the chair had fallen over by this time. So Jericho just picks it up and starts laying into Joey Janela as we get into picture in picture. And that was basically the next sort of bunch of the match. It was Jericho and Jake laying into Janela here with the chair and tagging in and out with the as they were cutting off the ring and using their offense to take Janela out of things here. While they were on the outside, they threw Sonny into the barricade, started brawling with Janela, taking him out. They pull a table out and start setting that up over by the side of the stage. It looks like Hager's getting ready to powerbomb Janela through it, and he kind of stops. Almost looks like he's going to pile drive him on the ground, but it doesn't quite happen. Janela is able to reverse kick Hager into the post. They get Hager back into the ring, and they start actually getting some pretty big offense in on him, especially from Sonny Kiss at this point. It was really nice to see from him. He was hitting them with some, those big spin kicks, the near fall that led into the roll up onto Hager, and he dropped him with something. I just can't remember, but that was when
it was a flurry of kicks, and it was a bunch of kicking moves, spinning kicks, up kicks, down kicks, spinning elbows and shit. Yeah,
definitely the big
flurry.
The big flurry comeback here. He had both of them in the corners, did the sort of back handspring, but into a spinning back kick, and then did it forward into the split kick into Jericho. So a lot of combination and definitely getting Sonny Kiss over as the strongest member of the team, showing that he's got the skill set, whereas Janela's more the brawler, and showing like why they've done so well as a tag here in AEW. So eventually Hager was able to get a trash can to try to gain some more advantage, taking Sonny out, and he went for his Hager bomb, but he missed it, knocking him to the outside. Joey taking a big dive once again to the outside, brawling with Jericho. They go up onto the stage. Jericho had reversed him, threw him into the lights, and eventually got him up into a catapult that Hager caught him and then tossed him into that table they had set up on the outside. So this basically took Joey out of the fight at that point, and it was up to Sonny Kiss to see if he could save the day. And it wasn't quite enough, but he got darn close. He hit, he dropped Hager in the ring. It was just, they were calling it on the commentary really good, to saying that Hager doesn't normally take shots like that. He was going up to the top rope for what you thought was going to be the split finish or the shooting star press or something like that. Jericho sees that Sonny's getting quite the advantage here and grabs a fire extinguisher from underneath the ring, blows Sonny in the face with that, knocks him off, and Hager is able to catch him in the head arm choke, take him down, and get the 1, 2, 3. And pretty solid match. Definitely, I'd say the story was getting Sonny Kiss over here, but what did you make of it?
I guess you could say Sonny was extinguished at the end. Oh, sorry. I'll wait till you're not drinking next time. I very much that was it. This is Sonny Kiss's spotlight moment tonight. So he looked great. He's a dancer. He looks like, he moves like, he's so fluent. He's so athletic. he looks like he's dancing rather than wrestling, which I'm
Right.
not sure if I'm complaining about that or not. I don't know if that's a criticism or a compliment. So I honestly don't know. That's how I feel when I'm watching him. I'm not watching a fight as much as I'm watching this guy just fluid motion. But I thought that a lot about Jeff Hardy when he was a kid too. So I think the kid's got a ton of potential, and I think he's definitely impressive, and the moves are impressive, and I think he's a good worker. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the character keeps going. Again, I think this is part of Jericho's. Where's my again jar? Fuck, I'm doing it. I think this is part of Jericho's long-term plan: is work with these kids, get these kids established, not just with a spot on the roster, but a bit of character to go with that. Yeah. And he did a great job with Orange with it. And if he's going to work with Sonny, even if it's Sonny and Janela a bit, because they declared now that they are a tag team, and this is where Jericho and Hager are going to go from here, is look for the tag team titles and build up their tag team record. Yeah, so they'll have to go through some of these kids to get there, right, and do that. So.
Yeah, again, if this is Jericho's next place to be trying to put people over, him working in the tag teams, I don't think it's a bad idea. Personally, I think it's a better matchup than him and Sammy. I think having it's Jericho and the Muscle works a little better as a tag team. Like, not that him and Sammy were a bad tag team, but it was, I don't know. I mean, I get the story there of the young guy with the veteran or whatever too, but maybe I'm just not as much of a Sammy Guevara fan, so I'm a little bit more interested to see what happens between him and Hager here, as well as that could be the big feud. Eventually, if Hager turns on Jericho and they want to turn him face, I could totally see that happening.
Potentially that I could. I mean, definitely there's a door you can open there. I think the main reason for not tagging Sammy with Jericho for that reason is you're going to have to put them in a long-term thing against another one team or of either veteran and youth or veterans themselves. Their tag division isn't set up like that, really. It's a variety of teams that are veterans and great, like SCUs, teams that are great but not necessarily veteran, like FTR, and then these younger teams that are on the up and coming. So I think having Jericho and Hager work with them as the duo of veterans, helping them grow, not putting them over. I think they're going to be the ones getting the wins, but they're going to be training and teaching them as they go. And let Sammy have the singles matches against, obviously not Matt Hardy now, but somebody else of that ilk, right? I think is who we'll see Sammy going up against. It gives him a better chance to grow and get his star rising as well than a tag team with Jericho. It's only going to really get the big rub for Sammy then when he makes the turn on Jericho and becomes kicked out of the group and gets the thing. So, and they can do that without them being a tag team, I think. So.
No, for sure. We'll see what happens with the Inner Circle as they enter the tag division. Moving on, we had a response from MJF as he was still in his sort of conference room or whatever, dealing with his campaign people. And
he dealt with them all right.
Oh, he certainly did. He kicked everybody out of the room and let them all hear what he had to say about each of them, especially the poor smiling woman.
Poor Nina. Yes. Her bullshit face. Ouch. Yes. They're dropping these S-bombs as much as they can, eh?
Oh, yes. This is definitely PG-14 or whatever, TV-14. They are getting away with what they can here as far as those insults go. So, he obviously is disbanding his team here. The campaign didn't work. He didn't get his belt, and Moxley was able to cheat to win and all this stuff. And of course, he cheated to win. It's Moxley, that kind of stuff. From MJF here, he sort of has his spots with all the different crew members, and all that's left is him and Wardlow. Wardlow looks and says, well, what's next, sir? And he's like, oh, sir, now, huh? And he starts getting his face about tossing the ring wrong. And
you cost me pretty platinum.
Yes. The belt that he had already nicknamed because it was so close to being his, talking about how he can't read and stuff like that. Really laying into poor Wardlow here.
The line he crossed was when he called him the illiterate oaf, and Wardlow took the big step forward. And what I loved with MJF in this promo was that he didn't cower down or back off from that one little bit. He put nose to nose and says, oh, do we have a problem? Because Tony Khan's not the man signing your checks. That's me. So if we got a problem, I'll leave you and your family out on the streets with nothing to do. I thought that was fantastic. I mean, obviously Wardlow Virgil is going to turn eventually.
Yeah, but I mean,
it doesn't need to happen anytime soon. And as long as MJF continues to establish he is holding him in that place, great, right? That's fantastic. It's something they only have to drop every once in a little while.
Yeah, they don't have to repeat it every week, or the commentary doesn't have to repeat it every week. Well, but it's MJF that signs Wardlow's checks, not AEW. Like, just having it little bits here. Like, we knew that when he brought him in as the Muscle, and literally he's been brought in as the Muscle. He wrestles sometimes, but more or less he's just there to help MJF. So no, I think it's a slow progression for Wardlow, but helping him sort of build a lot of momentum when eventually he does turn on MJF here, and he's going to have plenty of reasons to when the time comes, but it's not happening now. He was in compliance and ready to work with MJF as they were plotting and getting ready to return to the top. And speaking of the top, we had an interview or a little promo with Jon Moxley.
Jon Moxley cut a heart and soul promo. It's the Unstoppable Force versus the monster of Archer.
Yes.
And that was pretty much it. It's Jon Moxley's heart and soul. He cuts a great promo. He gets to the point. Yeah. Get what he's selling.
Yeah. The character's over hard. It's solid here, but the typical sort of Moxley promo here. He got over his matchup with MJF, really put over his next opponent with Archer, but then at the end, always putting over himself as well with the, do you really want to bet against me at this point? Like, he's just beaten everybody that they've put against him since he has walked into AEW here. So I think, definitely reaching that next level here as the AEW champion, Jon Moxley. And we got later on announced when he's going to defend that title next. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. So next up, we had FTR, speaking of champions, in the ring to celebrate their new tag team championships with Tully Blanchard. What did you make of this segment?
I liked it. I think it sets up some stuff for them. Paints them as tough guys who are quick-witted. I love the way that they talk to as they start hyping up the division. AEW, undeniably the best tag division in the world, the deepest. Guys like SCU. Geez, SCU. Watched you when we were kids. We loved you. Hey, imagine if you were 20 years younger. Who knows what kind of match we could have. That was just beautiful.
Yeah.
And then they turn to Private Party. Private Party. They're here. Yeah. And then turned around again. Like, I thought it was great, man. What did you take away from it?
No, I think for sure. I think it established them as the top, obviously, heels here in AEW. If they were sort of petering beforehand, if you didn't know, they are obviously the top dogs and top heels here. Obviously, putting the company top over guys. First, but then tearing a strip off everybody on the outside was just perfect to add those extra layers to the team there. Yeah, putting over that they had this sort of upper echelon place being champions in this amazing tag division, but then, saying that they are just that much better than everybody else. Talking a bunch of trash to Jurassic Express, who they will be fighting next week, saying it's definitely not for the titles. If you want that, you're going to have to earn it by trying to beat us. So, definitely showing that they're a different type of champion, right?
A comedy gimmick will never run our division. Just priceless. Right. Their character set and the way they're playing themselves and everybody else, that was great. Jurassic Express didn't like that comment, though, about the comedy gimmick stuff. So the two of them and Marco Stunt jumped up on the apron, get into the ring. We end up having a wee scuffle where the dinosaur gets him into a double choke slam hold. And before he manages to get him up, FTR double arm, tough guy break out of it, and they get out of the ring. They do get a bucket of ice dumped on their heads to cool them down. And Austin Gunn really likes cake.
Yep. No, it was nice to see the heels get some comeuppance here. They can't just keep, getting over on everybody all the time. So showing
I guess not.
The people, well, sorry, they can't, buddy. It's fucking wrestling. Sometimes the good guys got to win because you know who watches this? Kids, not fucking old men. It's not made for us, but we are huge fans regardless. So that's what I like to see here.
That's funny.
On, though, in the night, we had Taz joining the commentary crew, talking about his boys and how much they had put Darby out during the casino battle royal, putting him in the body bag, throwing him off the edge, and then all of a sudden looks like Darby's coming out. Taz pretends to act surprised, but he knows who it actually is. It's Ricky Starks, dressed up as Darby Allin once again.
Absolute Darby Starks or too pretty Ricky Allen. You take your pick. He can't skate because of so many tacks in his feet, so he's upset. It was a really good promo.
I sprained my pinky and I got tacks in my toes, so I can't skateboard with my friends. No, I
Really
mean,
good promo. Again, like direct to the point. We know he does not like Darby Allin, and Ricky Starks wants a match with Darby Allin. He wants to fight him and he wants to beat him up over and over again. And it was great. It sets the tone. I was honestly second time tonight where I'm thinking, why does this guy have a mouthpiece? This is not the guy that you need to set in a group, especially not with Marvel Mouth Taz half the time. So
true.
yeah,
He definitely talks on his own. I think it's more just the familiarity, right? You need to have them with people who don't like they don't know Brian
Sure.
or they don't know Ricky,
Sure.
but I know Taz, right? So I get it from that perspective that's why they sometimes tend to group these people together in that way. But yes, I totally think he could be just fine on his own. I like the addition of the comparisons of Reckless and Relentless, because that's always what Darby's been sort of pushed as, is the relentlessness. But all everyone talked about afterwards was how reckless that spot was to do and how reckless Darby tends to be. So nice that he was sort of tying that real life stuff into this promo. And yeah, I think that's a great next spot for Ricky as well as Darby. So when Darby returns, I'm sure he will get his comeuppance on the painted faced Ricky Starks.
Yeah, because apparently the good guys got to get that. I don't know. Next
Sometimes
up, they
that
recap the women's action from All Out, the Tooth and Nail match, Thunder Rosa versus Sheeta. If you want to know more about those who missed that show, watch our recap of that, because we did one for Sunday. It was great. Then match number 4 for tonight, the freshly signed just today Tay Conte taking on Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero, and Vicky was corpsing on her way to the ring. Send for the man. Hey, Nyla backs up Tay into the corner and hits with the repeated shoulder block after shoulder block after shoulder block. Tosses her like a rag doll halfway across the ring. And you're thinking at this point it's going to be a fairly typical Nyla Rose match. But no, Tay Conte has a pretty good comeback at this point. A couple kicks to the head 2 times. Ducks under a move and she shoves Nyla into the corner. She ends up with a roll-up. Stacks her up for a 2 count. Gets a knee bar takedown. Nyla manages to turn that and eye gouge her way out of the hold, but she gets crushed back into the corner, tossed out of the ring. That's Vicky Guerrero at ringside tosses her nails into Tay Conte, so that was evil. Then we went to picture in picture. They're still outside. Conte pushes off onto the shoulder, or into the ring post. And blasts her with a knee jump up against the barricades. Tosses Nyla back into the ring. Conte gets up onto the second rope, hits a body press for a 2 count, which looked like it might have actually been the finish for a second. It was a kick to the face of Nyla while she's kneeling down. Pins her, covers her again. Nyla gets the ropes for a rope break. Get a nice arm toss and a roll. Ty spins around. I'm doing it with my feet. You can't see him, but the mule kick, right? It was like the side backward spinning mule kick.
Yeah.
Nyla catches a second kick attempt, picks Ty up. Lariat nails her with a big clothesline. Kicks her in the neck, to the back of the neck, which looked dirty and vicious. Getting to a little bit of a rest hold spot with some wrist stuff. And then she starts biting on her finger in the ultimate Healy move. So Tay's like lost 2 fingers now. Hits her with an elbow. We get an ad for the hashtag. Nyla picks up Tay, hits her with a big body slam and a leg drop moment in her Hulk Hogan moment for a 2 count though. She looks at the ref like, but I did the Hulk thing. Wasn't enough. Conte, she wakes up out of nowhere, jumps up onto the top rope, goes for a really nice sunset flip, which is countered from that springing off the top into a big power bomb. Nyla picks her up again and goes for a choke, but Tay reverses that into an arm lock. And again, off of this submission, I thought maybe you were going to get that miracle comeback win for the David versus Goliath. But no, Nyla forced her way out of it and hit the Beast Bomb for a 3. So I thought it was the best match I've seen out of Nyla Rose in AEW. So I've seen of Nyla Rose so far. I've never seen her before it. So yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, for sure. I think, and it works both ways. A great showing for Taya Conte and from Nyla. I think it's your dance partner is going to help you show better in that sense too, and that maybe we weren't getting the best from Nyla in some of her early sort of encounters with other women here in AEW, but she seems to have either found her sort of like pacing or whatever that works, or girls that are just selling in the right way and then are also able to get some offense in. She can't just, or they have found that a bit more of a balance that lets the girls get over. They're not just getting completely squashed, but she's still getting over as a very dominant woman in the division for sure. So no, I think a decent showing for her, showing there's a reason why she should be number one contender, still considered right at the top. And it was nice they didn't just go straight into that feud. You knew it was going to come back eventually, and seems like that time is now.
And then Vicky Guerrero climbed into the ring. Excuse me, because I love that catchphrase. She's so easily hateable. She's great in that role. They end up beating up Taya again in the corner for a bit until Shida comes out with a kendo stick to defend Conti. I thought we were going to get a backstab moment from Conti here to kind of establish her right off the bat as a, hey, I'm not your friend. I want that belt you got on eventually. But that didn't happen. So move from that into the second. We've already kind of talked about the interview with JR and Kenny. But man, oh man, why isn't JR doing this all the time? This is the role he's born to play, right? Is just do these interviews. He was fantastic in this segment.
Well, I agree with that for sure. He's definitely fantastic in this, and I would totally be fine with him doing backstage interviews and backstage stuff like that. But what this comes down to, it's JR gives a shit about Kenny Omega. He gives a shit about the Kenny Omega character.
Yeah.
He gives a shit about the story that Kenny is telling, and he gives a shit about that kind of stuff. So he's willing to put it in and fucking give you something good. But when JR doesn't give a shit what Private Party's moves are called or why the best friends hug, it fucking shows because he doesn't pay attention to them. He doesn't put them over because he doesn't fucking care. So that's where I struggle, because I'd love to see JR doing good work, but he can do fucking good work for everybody, and it helps elevate everybody. But it just shows all the time when he just is very narrow-minded. He fucking loves John Moxley. He loves Kenny Omega. He likes Hangman. He likes the FTR. He likes the Bucks. But other people do not get that fucking rub, and it should be even across the board. Or if he's a heel, he should be, that's where I fucking struggle with the JR stuff. For as good as it can be, it should be good for everybody. Kenny didn't need a really good interview with JR. He could have had that with Marvez. Like Kenny did it all on his own. He didn't need JR to boost it, right? But JR could be doing these really nice interviews with other people that need that fucking rub. But he's, joking around and all that shit during their matches, not giving a shit, talking about wardrobe malfunctions and all this other garbage. Yeah. So I'd much rather just see him give a shit more.
I get it. I mean,
but that aside, I think this was really good.
I wonder if, though, I mean, and I totally agreeing with you. I wonder if you wouldn't get a better JR if that was all he got to do now, right? So the one earlier tonight was him with Hangman. Next week, it's him with Private Party. How do you feel that you got dismissed like that by FTR, for example? I felt like he was genuine. He was all JR. That felt like him and Mick Foley doing the Mick Foley's baby boy interview.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a great role for him. And but commentary now, he's not on all the time. He's allowing himself to get tired at the desk and lapse and get bored of what he's watching and lapse. And it's not helping him. It's not helping the product. The name probably did do some draw in the beginning and help in the beginning. Keep the name around and let him do these things. Let him be a new Mean Gene.
Yeah.
But take him off the fucking desk. I totally agree with that. I mean, I think he's been just...
No, for sure. I think in these backstage segments, it would not be a bad place to put JR. But that aside, this was more focused on Kenny Omega. We were getting his side of things here. He is talking about how he has felt that he sort of lost his way. He came into AEW thinking he was going to be, what everyone thought as well, the top dog, win that title first and all these kind of things. That obviously didn't happen, and he was sort of trying to figure out what was going to work for him. He ended up in this tag team with Hangman, and it worked. They were able to get some momentum, get some wins, win the titles. He was a champion. He talks about the ebbs and flows of all that kind of stuff, but that he is certainly at a different place than Hangman Page here, talking about how he had heard the interview and that kind of stuff. And he's like, man, if that's what you're looking for, you should start looking for something else, because that's clearly not where my head's at. I'm ready to return to the singles division and show everyone who the real Hangman or Kenny Omega is. So I like the polarizing interviews here, a totally different demeanor. He obviously wasn't like super serious and angry or all that kind of stuff. He was just kind of content and ready to sort of accepting that next stage, whereas Hangman is still not quite there.
I definitely, that's where it got to for me as well. I thought for that first opening minute of it though, JR hit him with the first thing about the loss on Saturday night. And my takeaway from it was Kenny is saying, I'm not crying about losing the title belt. You're crying about losing the title belt. And I felt like it was, it's the fable. the grapes are too high up the tree, so fuck the grapes. I don't want them no more. Like, I felt it was that sour grapes. It was like that kind of feeling on that he'd lost the belts. So it cuts him deep that they lost these title belts. He's very fucking upset about what's happened with his tag team, and he's devastated that he's lost championships to anybody.
Yeah.
So, and trying to be like, well, you win as many titles as I've won, you're going to lose them, right? That's just the way it is. So don't ask me about that, JR. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant because again, it keeps us alive in that subtlety of, yeah, we're getting very clearly from you. You're telling us you want to go on this singles run and fuck that guy. Yeah. But obviously there's something there. So you won't go 100 miles an hour for that singles title if you end up getting whatever with this guy, keep trying to tag with you, that you got to beat the crap out of him for a while first.
Yeah.
Right? I just think there's so many still ways it can go and develop from here. Fantastic again. Highlights of the show almost with these two segments. Like,
yeah, for sure. Showing that they can get guys over not only in the ring, but in some of these outside aspects too. And I think JR, I'm going to say I was ragging on him early there, but he certainly helped get this over for sure in that place as well. I think it
felt important because it was JR doing it.
Yeah.
Not that Shivani's one with Hangman doesn't. Shivani brings a certain amount of that same elevation and prestige to a thing because he's Tony Schiavone.
Yeah.
But it's JR's JR. And before he completely loses that luster by crippling himself on commentary more, get him off that fucking desk so we can still see him as the legendary JR, right?
Yes, fair enough. No, in total agreement there. So before we got to the main event, they did a bit of a rundown, letting everyone know October 14th is the anniversary edition of Dynamite. Lance Archer will take on Jon Moxley for the world title on that event. I gave a bit of a rundown for next week's matchups. I didn't manage to write everything down. I know Thunder Rosa is coming back to take on Ivelisse. That'll be nice to see her back on the card. What else was there? I can't really remember.
We've got the FTR versus the Jurassic Express in the non-title match is the big one for next week. Their biggest thing that they were pushing is schedule-wise, because of the goddamn NBA playoffs. Right now they're scheduled for Thursday, but if they don't need Game 6, it will be on Wednesday in its regular night. If they do need to go to Game 6, then that means Game 5 will have been on Wednesday. I don't even... Because Excalibur then turned around during the main event and said the opposite, that we're on next Wednesday, but might be moved to Thursday, only for Shivani to correct them about 5 minutes later and say, we're on next Thursday, but might be moved to Wednesday. Someday next week, there'll be a fucking show on. I don't know. Find it.
Yes. No, yeah, they're certainly lost in the shuffle there with the playoffs not giving them a definite date. And especially, if they don't know they need the other day, it could move forward. But yeah, bit of mix-up, but still should make for a fantastic Dynamite next week whenever it happens. So
they've already got the playoffs scripted. Why don't they tell Tony Khan who's going to win and what game? And then they'll know, right?
Oh, of course. That's how it works, right? Well, we saw the super kick in the Raptors game, right? I mean, it's got to be scripted. But moving on to our main event, we had Dustin Rhodes taking on Mr. Brody Lee, the new TNT champion, defending his title here against the Natural One, as he was not only going for the belt, but looking to defend his brother, Cody Rhodes, as well. Did you take notes for this one as well, or could we both do a bit of a blow-by-blow here? Or
I didn't take any notes, but my God, what a main event.
Yes.
I guess I wrote down a few things because I thought that Dustin just blew me away, man. Again, even at his age, like, this guy's wrestling like it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago at points in this match.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think he definitely showed like the passion still there. He loves the wrestling aspect, and then the storytelling as well, just showing how aggressive he was towards Brody the whole match, really getting a lot out of Brody as well. So I think the back and forth between the two of them, big sized guys as well in there, really going all out against each other. So
it was an old school big hoss fight. That's what I had down after the first, again, during our all too familiar lately pre-bell action, I had that written down, that this was a great big hog slugfest slobber knocker, as JR would say.
Totally, and it just seemed to always have that back and forth. No one could quite gain the advantage on the opponent, so it was a lot of that sort of big hoss stuff to big hoss stuff. So yeah, you had the brawl to the outside. Mr. Brody had turned his back on Dustin during the introductions, and he was having none of that. Took him straight to the outside. They were brawling back and forth. Eventually, getting him back in the ring, he thought he'd sort of done enough damage, but it wasn't enough. Mr. Brody was able to counter Dustin, get back to the outside. Dustin chased him out there, and he kind of did that WCW, well, I'm outside, and then as soon as I get back, I screw you over when I get back in. So, I mean, you can get some old school stuff from Mr. Brody here. He got the advantage back for himself there. They were trading chops back and forth, but then all of a sudden, Dustin turns things around.
That was dirty, too.
Yeah.
God, those were some dirty chops. Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Just nasty back and forth. Does the kind of old school 10 punches spot for the crowd that then turns into a 20 punches spot as he just really starts laying them in Mr. Brody. And I liked how Brody's hands just kept dropping, and then he eventually just had to completely throw him down. I like that sell rather than just the covering up the whole time. It really made it a little bit more of an actual fight in that moment. So that was a fun spot. Trying to slow the momentum down, though, at this point was Mr. Brody getting Dustin sort of caught up in the ropes, taking him down. What was it? Sort of catapulting him up into the ropes. Yeah, the slingshot. Back to the outside, some more chops, laying into him out there. I can't read that word. Oh, he got him into a... Oh, yeah, it was just grinding chokeholds. This is during the picture-in-picture, so a lot of the just sort of like typical sort of slow down, beat down, rest hold stuff from your heel champion. So, yeah, he was just kind of trying to wear out Dustin as best he could at this point. And then, man, what a comeback from Dustin Rhodes when it eventually happened. Blowing,
my God, yeah.
Yeah, just hitting Brody with that huge right hand to sort of get the stuff rolling there, the huge power slam, surprising everyone with the huge Hurricane Rana straight into the code red. Just wow, what a sequence of moves there from Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah, that's the best Hurricane Rana I've seen in months in wrestling, and the best Canadian Destroyer I've seen in months. He pulls it off in a way that it looked like you could do it, which was Eric Young, right, that started it off. I think the movement of getting that popularized a few years ago.
Petey Williams is the one.
Petey Williams, sorry, that's right. He pulled it off nice, but that like Dustin's 50 odd years old.
He didn't hit the Destroyer in this match. That was the code red. They're two different moves.
Oh, that's not a Canadian Destroyer?
No, the Canadian Destroyer is when you flip it, it's a pile driver. That he did a code red, which is where you lock into the arms and then you do a power bomb.
But a pile driver to power bomber, essentially, you lie on your back, land on your head. It's the same. Like he flipped over the top, flips him, and lands him down.
After this, I can show you both moves back to back, and you'll see the difference. But that I can tell you that's what he hit. He didn't.
Okay, no, I agree. I'm believing you, but it's
Dustin
similar.
has hit one before, but he can do it.
All I'm saying is it's the fluency of the movement. It made it look like, yeah, that physically works. If you did that and pulled, the guy would flip, versus that doesn't work unless the guy is actively doing it with you, in fact, doing all of the flipping, which is how it looks.
Oh, okay. Mostly. No, I see what you're saying there.
That's all I'm sorry. That was my point in it. So
the code red is a little more believable than a Canadian Destroyer. Yeah, so the Canadian Destroyer is like one of the furthest sort of stretches of believable wrestling maneuvers. So, but anyway, yeah. Continuing in the match, reversal to the over the top, taking Mr. Brody to the outside, hitting a huge cannonball senton, really kind of getting the advantage back in his game here, getting Mr. Brody back in the ring. You think he's going to start hitting comeback here. Oh, he hit the crossroads before that. I did kind of jump the gun there for the first near fall that Dustin had got there. The commentary really putting that over when he locked him up for it. They weren't sure if he was going to hit it, and then he did.
And then did you catch Schiavone trying to get his Botchamania full-time video moment? As Brody Lee was talking, as Brody Lee's caught on camera calling the match right after he'd taken the crossroads, JR says, well, Brody's trash talking him even after he's been hit. To which Tony says, he never shuts up. He's begging for it, right? I mean, that's exactly what he wants, so...
That's fair. Fair enough. Yeah. How could you not, right, when you drop those kind of lines, right? So, but yeah, the reversal over the top rope. taking Mr. Brody out, hitting that huge cannonball senton, brings him back in. This causes John Silver to sort of jump into action. The whole kind of match, he's been outside the ring holding the TNT Championship belt, sort of showcasing that for Mr. Brody. He does his best to sort of get some offense in on Dustin Rhodes. It doesn't work out. He gets caught in that nasty, quick side slam that Dustin is known for, but John Silver finally did something right for Mr. Brody by causing a good distraction, at least, because once Dustin got up from this, he got hit with, was that the first? No, then they started brawling back and forth. Then he hit him with the thrust kick. The second thrust kick really started to daze Dustin, lays him out with the lariat, and they get the 1-2-3 finish. Just really, really brought it in this match, Mr. Brody. But what did you make of it?
Oh, I thought it was a great match. Like one of my favorite Dustin Rhodes matches I can remember in God knows how long. And I've always been a fan of Dustin from when he was the Natural in WCW through Goldust through to this era of him. And he was this is some of the best work of his career. Mm-hmm. He looks 20 years, 30 years younger than he is. He's moving so fast, looks hot, like crowds behind him. Everything's going his way. It almost was at the 1-2 and the early 2 count after the Crossroads. Almost thinking like, I could see him giving him the belt here, because if he's going to have one final run, now's probably the time. You wait too much longer and you won't be able to pull the trigger on it. Yeah. So, no, really, really enjoyed the match a lot.
No, I think, great way to showcase Mr. Brody in his first kind of title defense, too, not just having to have a squash the same as the Cody match, showing that the aggression got to Dustin, and he was able to really bring a different side out of Mr. Brody here, and that he was sort of having to pull out all the stops to put this opponent away and keep that gold around his waist. So, no, I think a great way to end the night here, move things forward. And
I would say, fuck that pile driver spot. Keep it. You only get to do pile drivers to guys way smaller than yourself, Brody.
Yes, I was gonna say I did have that written down. I did miss talking about that. He did go for a pile driver, and it was real slow, and then
had to put him down the first time.
Yeah,
and then the second time it was ugly as fuck. So you're like, no, don't, you don't need to do that.
No,
you guys are doing
that
just
late
fine.
In the match, maybe I think it could be left to the side, and I think overall good showing on both parts here, moving the feud, or this part of the feud kind of ending, and things can kind of move forward. They brought QT out, so they're obviously still ragging on the Nightmare family, and there's more revenge to be had when eventually Cody returns. But that was it for AEW Dynamite, and not a bad episode this week.
Colt being dismissed was kind of, to me, that biggest bit at the end there was Colt Commander jumped in the ring to celebrate with Brody, and Brody pie-faced him and told him to get the hell out of here. He looked very confused as Evil Uno led him up the ramp, consoling him again like he did on Saturday. So, we're still in that spot with Colt now, as they mention on commentary very specifically. They've treated him with kid gloves up till now. He doesn't know what to think of it. So
yeah, I'm wondering, like we talked about it on the other podcast, like the other podcast we did, that maybe this was the time for Colt to do or die, and I'd kind of mentioned that too when we had talked about it off air, where I'm kind of ready for that. I don't need any more of this like stupid Colt, because it's like, how fucking long can you be stupid? And like, are you not watching the show? Are you not, like, is no one telling you any of this stuff? Like, how long can you just be, oh, Mr. Brody does nice things for me. It's like, I don't want Colt to be stupid. He's a smart guy. He was so smart early on, like not wanting to take any shit from Kip Sabian, slapping him in the face. Like, he was such a real awesome dude when they first brought him in, that I want this story to mean a little bit more for it. And I'm sure it will. I think they are going to try and now with, I think, Brody pushing him off, it's going to lead to that next trigger, but I felt we were already there. I think maybe now it's just realizing it to Colt. So
yeah. Well, like with the other guys earlier, nobody watches the show and nobody's told anything about it. They only go on social media, and it's only to post things. It's not to read what other people tell them.
But only some people, because like Hangman specifically was asked, well, you rewatched and you saw when Kenny didn't catch you, and like, how do you feel about that moment? So some
that
people
had to happen for
stuff.
That skit.
That's what I mean. Sometimes, you figure what's going on. Anyway, I think that
we were told for the last 5 minutes of the show that we were going to get breaking news from Cody Rhodes after the broadcast. Did you stick around for it? Because I made the mistake of sticking around for it.
I caught it on Twitter for 2 seconds and turned it off because I was like, I don't need a promo for a TV show.
I thought as he comes out and he starts talking, it sounded like it was he's speaking and saying we. I thought he was talking about AEW. So at first, like, we at AEW have built this set. We're doing this Go Big show. It's gonna like, what kind of fucking underground-esque bullshit is this? And then I realized, oh wait, no, you're just promoting it's TNT show. Gotcha. So yeah, I went from raging to I'm okay again within about 3 seconds there. Did I mention I'm manic?
I'm sure people have learned by now.
I always thought I was easygoing until about 2 weeks ago, and I realized I don't think I know what that means.
Not when it comes to wrestling. I'm sure you are with the rest of things in your life, but you can never be easygoing. It's polarizing when it comes to wrestling, right? It's got to be the heavy shifts here. No, I mean, when they were saying the special announcement being afterwards, I was sort of like, it's going to either be like some kind of a TV thing or whatever he's doing post coming back, whatever. And then, yeah, the second I kind of saw a little bit of the promo, I was like, oh, this is just for a television show. So kind of caught the last kind of tail bit of it. And, yeah, wasn't as caught off guard or confused by it as you were. I sort of figured out what it was early on. But, I mean, like I say, it's not something I'm interested in. Those kind of shows don't do anything for me. But that's a huge platform for Cody and some big talent that he's with, like Snoop Dogg, and like if they get those kind of names on Dynamite because they're working with Cody, that it doesn't hurt the product. So
I don't know. I heard for $35 Snoop Dogg will join us and do a podcast. I think Snoop will do anything for money. I thought that was like Snoop Dogg's entire career for the last 15 years was, you got money for me? I'll do that.
Well,
especially I got weed here, Snoop. Come on, do the fucking show with us. I got $35 in weed. What more can you ask?
Fair enough. Well, that's what I get for trying to end the show on something positive. Chris, I think that's about it for the Blow by Blow this week. Where can people hear us?
You can listen to us on 88.7 The River FM if you're lucky enough to live in Ontario, Canada. If you are not one of the fortuitous few who do, then you can catch it online, 887theriver.ca, and it's under the archives folder if you're not listening at 7 o'clock live on a Wednesday. You can also catch this podcast on sounder.com, and it broadcasts out from there around the podcast universe, the various podcasty sites.
That's right. And yes, thank you for watching here on YouTube. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Ring the little bell, get the notifications for when we put up new videos. Get in the comments, let us know what you think of things here. And we'll be back with another Blow by Blow next week, more than likely for AEW, but we don't know what day. It'll be Wednesday, maybe Thursday, maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday.
Fucking basketball.
We'll all know when it happens, but we'll see you all then.
Adios, amigos.